Number 59. The label on a soft drink bottle gives the volume in 2 units, 2.0 liters and 67.6 fluid ounces. Use this information to derive a conversion factor between the English and metric units, and how many significant figures can you justify in your conversion factor. Okay, so this soft drink gives a volume in 2 separate units. It's telling you that it's either 2.0 liters or it's 67.6 fluid ounces. So I'm just going to write that here, 2.0 liters or 67.6 fluid ounces. Now, just know that one is the English system and one is the metric unit system. The liter is part of the metric unit. It's part of your SI units. The fluid ounces is the English system. It's just good to know, but don't really need to know that for the problem. But we do have to make a conversion factor. And when we make a conversion factor, that means that we just have to have a ratio. And remember, a ratio is going to be your first unit, unit number 1, over unit number 2. And we can say that this is a ratio because this division symbol, or you're literally dividing, means it's equal to. So 1 unit and its amount is equal to another unit and its amount. So for example, I could say 1 dozen eggs equals 12 eggs. You see what I did there? So it's just 2 units, a dozen versus individual single eggs, 1 and 12. Okay, so now let's try to make a conversion factor between liters and fluid ounces. They don't say which one we should put on the top, so I'll just do both of them quickly. So we could either say that 2.0 liters is equal to, use your ratio, 67.6 fluid ounces. And we could also say, since they're equal to each other, I could start with the fluid ounces on the top. 67.6 fluid ounces is equal to, use the ratio, 2.0 liters. Now, let's actually get the math, do the actual multiplication. In this case, division, right? We're dividing the 2 numbers. And then we got to figure out how many sig figs can we justify. So if I do the first one, the one on the left, I'm going to say 2.0 divided by 67.6. And I get 0.02958, we'll say. So now, this one, this number, how many sig figs does this number have? Remember, with multiplying and dividing, you always take the least total number of sig figs. So if you don't know your sig fig rules and if you don't know how to count sig figs, go back in the last maybe 10 questions or so, somewhere in the 40s. There's tons of questions on sig figs. So I'm just going to assume that we know how to use our sig figs here. So in this case, there's 2 sig figs here, 2 scientific figures, because this 0 counts, and there's 3 here. So I have to take the least total, so 2 sig figs need to be in my answer. So now when I go over here, these zeros don't count because leading zeros never count, but the 2 and the 9 count. The 5 will tell me if I can round up that number. And yes, I can. The 5 tells me that the 9 will turn into a 10. So this will actually be 0.030. But we got to keep it a conversion factor. That means that we got to keep it a ratio. And remember, we can always make a ratio by just dividing it by 1. Any number divided by 1 is the same number. Now we just have to add the units. Liter was on the top. You see how liter was on the top? And fluid ounces was on the bottom? So that just stays. Liter on the top, FLOZ, fluid ounces is on the bottom, and that's your first conversion factor. So you're saying that basically 0.030 liters is equal to 1 fluid ounce. Now, let's do the same thing for the second one that we wrote on the right-hand side. The sig fig rules are going to be exactly the same. There's 2 on the bottom here, and there's 3 up on top. We're dividing, so we need 2 sig figs, right? Because 2 is the lowest number out of the total. So 67.6 divided by 2.0 is 33.8. But now we have to justify our sig figs. So we will keep the 3 and the 3, but this 8 will tell me that I need to change that 3 to a 4. So it would be 34. But we have to keep it a ratio, so that means I just put this number over 1. And now I add my units. In this case, fluid ounces was on the top and the liters was on the bottom. So I have to keep it constant. Fluid ounces are on the top, liters are on the bottom, and there you go, that's your ratio. Box that off. And this ratio says that 34 fluid ounces equals 1 liter. These two conversion factors are equivalent to each other, but they're just flipped. Doesn't matter which one you use when you do your actual conversions, you'll still get the same answer. But this is how you derive a conversion factor from actual amounts that they give you. All right, guys, hope this helped. If it did, click that subscribe button. Tell us about it. Drop a comment down below. Like this video. It's up to you guys. We would appreciate anything. I'll see you guys all in the next question. Till then, see you later.